person. All right? I'm going to talk somebody down from a ledge here. Someone who's actually been sleeping on the couch, okay? So there's the first fear. Out the window. Okay? She can't physically dominate you, so that's gone. What's the next fear? She's going to cut off the sex. Yeah, rub one out. Neutralized. It's the most empty threat there is. Do it right in front of her. Join me! Yeah. I've never understood that threat. That's like somebody putting a chain around your refrigerator, but you got a sandwich in your pocket, right? A never-ending sandwich. Like some biblical shit, like Jesus with the fucking bread or whatever, right? So now, what's the last thing she can do? What can she do now? Be moody? You can't handle that? You know, walk by the TV without looking at you? Only make herself something yummy out in the kitchen? Who gives a fuck? Dude, my wife does that. I just sit there, I just start commentating. Oh, here she comes again, walking by the TV. She really must be mad. She's never body slammed me once, ever. I'm not saying to be a dick, all right? I'm just saying, you gotta keep them honest. Every once in a while, you gotta have a little pushback. Yeah. The rest of the shit, I'm learning that about women. You just kind of you want to keep them calm. Keep them calm, like a rescue dog, right? Just, everything's cool. Everything's cool, just, yeah, this is great. I'm having a great time, you know? Oh no, your friends are awesome. Very interesting party. I am talking to people. I'm talking to people. I am having a good time here. That's what you do. You just do that enough. Then when you bark back, you got a little something. Like, here's an olive branch I've extended to her. Is basically, we fight a lot over television. So, I don't know. I've kind of come her way. She's come my way. She watches a little bit of sports. I occasionally will watch like a romantic comedy, which, I don't care. The nerd's gonna fuck the cheerleader. I'll watch it, right? I don't mind them. It's an uplifting story. I just don't like the love scenes in romantic comedies. They creep me out. They're just so fucking nice. It's like missionary style. There's candles. That stupid saxophone music. It always goes down. Like the saxophone implies the penetration, right? Because they can't show it. They gotta make her this one-dimensional, this little angel. They ignore the other 90% of her sexuality. No hair pulling, no ass slapping, none of that shit. None of that taboo stuff of a woman's sexuality that's never brought up. That whole hold me down, but let me up, but hold me down. Choke me, but let me breathe, but kind of scare the shit out of me a little bit. I want to feel your power, but I want to be safe, but let me know if you really want it to. That whole 50 Shades of Rape, whatever the hell that is. Yeah. I don't even pretend to understand it. I remember the first time a woman wanted to get me to like choke her a little bit. I didn't even know what she was doing. I was just so psyched to be getting laid. I was just trying. And she just kept taking my hand and she kept putting it like right here. And then I didn't know what she was doing. I thought she was like testing my core strength or some shit. I was just like... And finally, I was just like, what are you doing? She's just like, I don't know, just kind of like, it's like squeeze a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of like, squeeze it. Why don't you want to do it? It'll be fun. Why don't I want to do it? I don't think I want a passed out naked woman with my fingerprints all around her neck. Having the cops show up. Yeah, she's in there, officer. Damn this thing. It was her idea. I swear to God, it was her idea. Yeah, they always make it nice in those movies. Like the raciest thing they'll do is maybe every once in a while they kiss up against a wall. I guess women like walls. I didn't know that. There's a lot of up against the wall kissing. Oh my God, it's the wall. Oh my God. It's supporting me. Maybe he'll support me. It's a metaphor. I love it. Right? Yeah. I saw one the other night. They were doing that, and then out of nowhere, they started having sex up against the wall. And I'm like, finally, something a little bit more interesting, right? But they were doing it, standing up, facing each other, missionary style. Arguably, one of the most difficult positions there is. And they were doing it with little to no difficulty. All she did was just lift her leg up like that, and that was it. He was off to the races. ruin the movie for my wife. I'm like, that is fucking bullshit. Bullshit. What does the guy have, like a U-shaped dick? How is he doing anything? Is he sticking it in her navel? Did he grease up her thighs? To hell with her needs? Like, if all she's gonna do is this, she's gotta bring it up like an offsides call, if that's what she's doing. All right? If not, you gotta make some adjustments. You got, oh, she's giving me, I guess, gotta grab the other leg, you gotta try to pick her up there. Use these muscles like, Maybe you could grab a door jamb, drop down, try to come in and try to do that. Dude, nobody can do that other than a porn star for longer than 18 seconds before you're like, all right, this is ridiculous, okay? My calves are burning. I can't get nearly enough momentum to do any sort of damage. I can literally feel you getting on with your day with every pathetic attempt to try and rock your world. These guys in the movie, they have no problem banging away, then they pick them up like they're not heavy, right? And they just start walking down, they see the bed, they just lay her down on the bed. Dude, I'm not trying to be a dick, but every woman in here is heavy. Man, you're heavy. You're an adult female. Jesus Christ, when do you stop picking up your kids when they're like 5 or 6? Like, ah, get off of me, Jesus Christ. You're gonna throw out my back. I'll jump on your brother. An adult woman weighs 115 pounds, 120, all the way up to God knows what, right? And it's not balanced weight. Most of it's in your thighs and in your ass. Your head's hanging off, trying to counterbalance. Dude, when guys go to the gym, we don't put 30 pounds on one side and a $180 over here. Fucking, yeah, it's ridiculous. Trying to carry a naked woman, it's like trying to carry a half-filled waterbed mattress. You like plump it into shit. And when they don't let them soak. They know you're gonna do them. They're just waiting you out. And after a while, you can't fucking take it anymore. They're just sitting there. You gotta go out and you start doing it. And then what do? They sit in the other room and they wait like they don't know what you're doing. And they wait till they hear pots and pans. And that's when the show starts. That's when they come running in like, what? Oh, I was gonna do those. What? And you're like, no, you weren't. They've been sitting there for 8 hours. I got my hands in room temperature waters with scrambled eggs floating around. Don't gaslight me. You're a fucking animal. You were raised by animals. Get out of my sight. Don't yell at me. Right? Yes. Every relationship has the person that will take the trash bag out of the trash barrel and do a little we're good, tie it off, and then leave it slumped against the counter like it took 2 behind the ear and a mob hit. And then there's the person that actually picks it up and takes it out to the curb at night and puts it in the trash can, right? My wife's hilarious, man. I love her, but she's got some of the worst excuses ever. I'm like, why don't you ever take out the trash? She goes, I would, I'm just afraid of coyotes. I'm afraid of the coyotes. It's like, so am I. So am I. They're rabid dogs. They hunt in packs of 2s and 3s. You don't do it because you don't want to do it because you know I'm going to do it. Just get the fuck away from me, please. No, I'm telling you. So, anyway, I know I said a lot of divisive shit here tonight. So before I get out of here, I want to... Let's bring the room together. It's a very divisive time. Everyone wants to feel safe. Let's do a nice, normal, mainstream topic so everybody can drive home happy, no fights, all right? Sound good? All right, great. Let's talk abortion. There you go. Everybody has an opinion. It's my body, it's my right. Well, then fucking drive to Arkansas, bitch! Right? Everybody has an opinion. As do I. And I apologize that you're going to have to listen to mine. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I have a really weird take on abortion. I'm going to tell you that right from the get-go, okay? I'm 100% pro-choice. Always have been. Ladies, I said it was weird. For the love of God, stop getting in the trunk of the car. Wait to the end. You're supposed to vet me first. Woo! Fucking feed out the sunroof. I said I had a weird day. Pro-choice always made sense to me because I don't like people telling me what to do. And I always just like, it's your body. Who the fuck am I to tell you what to do with your body? So that always made sense. All right? However, I still think you're killing a baby. See? That's where it gets weird. Like, I sit on the fence and the whole thing makes sense to me. Whatever anybody's saying, like, don't tell me what to do. It's my body, my choice. That's right, man. She's right. Leave her the hell alone. Oh, you're killing a baby. Well, I mean, there is that. You know? I mean, you know, if we're going to be honest, that is the whole purpose of the procedure. You know? You're not going in there because you got an earache. You're going in there because you're like, I got a baby in me. Get the fuck out of here. Right? You walk in with a baby. You come out without one. What happened to the baby, right? Something fucking happened. So, pro-choice people are like, well, it's not a life yet. It's not a baby yet. If you do, I don't know what they say, before you do it the first Thursday or the last Tuesday and you spin around one time, they dance between the raindrops. It's not a baby yet. That's what they say, which may or may not be true. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I'll tell you, my gut tells me that doesn't make sense. It's not a baby yet. That would be like if I was making a cake and I poured some batter in a pan and I put it in the oven, and then 5 minutes later you came by and you grabbed the pan, you threw it across the floor, and I went, what the fuck, you just ruined my birthday cake. And then you were like, well, that wasn't a cake yet. It's like, well, it would have been. If you didn't do what you just did, there would have been a cake in 50 minutes. Something happened to that cake, you cake murdering son of a bitch. Right? Now, before all you pro-life people get excited, I think it's great you're killing your babies. It's fantastic. Help Mother Nature out. There's too many of us. It's been 130 degrees out. Animals are going extinct. There's plastic in the fucking ocean. We don't need any more fucking men, especially. If you're honest with yourself, and you've done anything great with your life. Is the person you're banging doing anything great? The answer to both of those questions is no. What are the odds you're gonna make a great person? I'm not saying you're gonna make a bad person. You're just gonna make another person that doesn't go when the light turns green because they're staring at their fucking phone. All right, I'm out of time. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Before we begin, please remember to like and subscribe. It's odd how betrayal can creep up on you right in the middle of something completely routine. The restaurant glowed warm and golden, packed with the quiet clatter of silverware and gentle jazz drifting from the speakers. I stood just inside the entrance, shaking off the December cold, searching the tables for Claire, my wife of 6 years. I'd left work early, planning to surprise her the way I used to. She claimed she was eating alone, clearing her mind, starting fresh. She wasn't alone. She sat in the corner booth, leaning close, laughing open and free, with a man I'd never laid eyes on. He wasn't some coworker. I felt that deep in my bones. I moved straight toward them, calm and measured, even though every part of me wanted to flee. Claire spotted me a few steps away. Her color drained, the laughter catching in her throat.
Ryan.
She blinked.
What?
What are you doing here? The man next to her tensed like a teenager caught sneaking out. He looked at me, half stood, then reached clumsily for his coat. Sit down, I told him, voice low and even. Don't race off just yet. He locked in place. Ryan, this is absurd, Claire said fast. You're causing a scene. I haven't spoken a single word, I answered, eyes fixed on the man.
Who are you?
He offered a thin smile. I should probably leave. She never mentioned she was married. I interrupted. Claire slammed her wineglass down. He knows I'm married, and he's a friend. Nothing more. The man muttered something about leaving, but I stayed planted. A friend you share candlelight and knee brushes with. It's nothing like that. Claire snapped,
on her feet now.
God, Ryan, you're behaving crazy. I drew a breath. You lied. You claimed you needed space, and this is how you use it. Her volume climbed above the rattle of silverware. Because every time I share something real, you turn it into an interrogation. You think this is about honesty? I moved back, opening a path for the man. Fine. Let the gentleman escape. Cowards usually run first. He snatched his coat and slipped out the side exit, head down. The door closed softly behind him. Claire's eyes blazed. You're unbelievable. No, I said, softer now. What's unbelievable is you believing I wouldn't discover it. What were you planning to tell me next? He's your therapist. Don't twist this, she said, arms crossed. He's been in my life longer than you. I don't owe you every talk I have. A few people had turned toward us. The couple in the next booth paused mid-bite. A waiter stood frozen with a tray. I never demanded every detail, Claire, I said evenly. But I thought I understood the larger view. She snatched her purse, face flushed. You know what? You love playing the victim. You always need to feel hurt, so you never have to face what you've done to drive me off. That landed like a slap. I looked at her a moment, then nodded. All right, she repeated, nearly yelling. That's all you can say. I could say plenty more, I answered. But not in this place. This performance is finished. With that, I turned and left. My hands stayed steady, yet inside everything trembled. But it wasn't finished. Not remotely. The fog had settled thick that night, low and gray, wrapping the streets like a living thing. I barely recall starting the car. I only remember clutching the wheel as if it were the last solid piece remaining. Boston slid past in a smear of headlights and darkness. I left the music off, called no one, simply drove, silent, numb. My breath misted the glass faintly in the cold. My thoughts did not. All I could picture was Claire's expression, the way she looked when she noticed me at that table. Like I'd caught her cheating on an exam, not on a marriage. She never really denied the meaning. Just kept shielding the friendship as if sticking that name on it made it less intimate, less toxic. But I'd witnessed too much. And what I hadn't seen, I'd sensed. I let the quiet sink in. Let my thoughts drift back 2 weeks, maybe longer. That was when it began. At first it was small things. No goodnight kisses. No meeting eyes over dinner. The way her body stayed rigid when I touched her shoulder, as if my hand belonged to a stranger. The first time I asked if anything was wrong, she answered, no, just tired. Second time, work's been insane. Third time, she stayed silent. I should have pushed further. Or maybe not. Maybe I would have found the same truth I saw tonight, only earlier. And I can't say if that would have made anything better. There's no guide for a moment like this. You simply hold on and hope the wreckage starts to make sense once the dust clears. The red light at Beacon and Arlington stayed longer than normal. I sat motionless, watching fog coil under the streetlights. It looked as if the city was covering its face. I thought about the weekend trip I'd been arranging. Bar Harbor. I hadn't mentioned it to Claire yet. I planned to surprise her with it. Thought it might help restore the spark between us. Remind her of the us we once were. I'd even booked the inn, room with a fireplace, cliffside views. What a joke. I released a breath and tightened my hold on the wheel. Have you ever poured everything into something? Time, care, loyalty, and then realized none of it counted because the other person simply grew bored? Because that's exactly how it felt. Claire didn't fall in love with someone new. Not truly. She simply drifted toward a version of herself that left me out. And I was foolish enough to keep inventing reasons while she drifted farther. She quit laughing at my silly jokes. She quit asking about my day. She quit reaching for my hand in bed. I was working harder than ever, too. After months of stalled projects and dead-end pitches, my firm finally locked a major contract. I'd been staying late, not because I wanted distance, but because I was trying to build something larger for us, a stronger version of our life, something lasting. Yet while I was arranging surprises and reading reviews for anniversary meals, she was trading secret smiles with a man wearing a cheap watch and showing no backbone. I drove past the riverfront and looked at the Charles. Still black, reflective like a mirror that refused to return anything. My phone vibrated in the cup holder.
Claire.
I left it unanswered. I let it ring until it quit. She no longer got to call the shots. Not this night. I turned onto our street, the apartment lights glowing faintly through the mist. The place where we built a life, painted walls, shared toothpaste, argued over takeout. All of it suddenly felt like a film set, like I'd been living inside someone else's notion of home. I sat in the driveway a long while, engines still running. I wasn't certain what version of Claire waited inside. But I knew one thing.
Something in me had begun to change.
Not a break, not a collapse, a quiet determination. Not the kind that slams doors, the kind that waits, observes, calculates. If she believed this would simply fade like a bad mood, she didn't know me at all. And if I'd been trying to rescue our marriage before, I no longer felt certain what I was trying to rescue. The apartment sat dark when I entered, only the soft tick of the kitchen clock filling the stillness. A few seconds later the door closed behind me. Claire walked in, as if nothing had occurred. She avoided my eyes as she tossed her purse on the couch and kicked off her heels. "You didn't need to embarrass me," she said lightly, as if we were simply wrapping up a small dinner spat. That was uncalled for. I stayed silent. She removed her coat, hung it carefully by the door, and moved to the kitchen island as if returning from a long shopping trip. "His name's Owen. He's someone I knew in college. It's no big deal." I remained still in the doorway, jacket still on, keys in my hand. Claire opened the fridge. We stayed close after we split. Friends, just friends. He relocated to Boston last month for work and contacted me. Still I said nothing. She poured herself water and leaned on the counter as if we were having an ordinary chat. "And yes, I'm going to see him again, probably on Saturdays, maybe Sundays too. It's important to me." I finally met her eyes. Not with rage, not even puzzlement, just calm. Her face twitched slightly when she registered that. "So you're just going to stand there and stay silent?"
she asked.
I stepped closer, set my keys on the tray by the door, and unbuttoned my coat. She tried once more, louder. "You always want to talk, Ryan. You always have something ready, so go on, say it." I shook my head slowly, hung the coat on its hook, and walked past her toward the hall. "Ryan." Her voice hardened. I kept moving. She followed. "You're seriously just going to leave in the hallway?" I paused and looked back at her for a second. "You said it's not a big deal, so I'm treating it as not a big deal." "Don't do that," she said, moving nearer. "Don't pretend you don't care." "I never claimed I didn't care," I answered. "I'm simply finished trying to prove to you that I do." That silenced her. Her lips parted as if she meant to reply, but nothing emerged. For a moment the apartment felt too still, as if it were holding its breath. "You're making this dramatic," she said at last, her tone softer. "This isn't cheating. It's not. I never slept with anyone. I never lied." "You never lied," I said flatly, cutting her off. "You told me you needed space. Not that you were filling it." She flinched, just slightly, but I noticed. Claire folded her arms tight. "You're twisting everything. You're always so fast to cast me as the villain." I gave no answer. I didn't need to. I turned toward the bedroom. "Ryan," she said again, her voice less steady. "Where are you going?" "To sleep," I replied. "You're not even going to discuss it with me."
"Why?"
I asked, pausing in the hall. "So you can explain how it's not what it appears. How he's merely an old friend. How you simply need this in your life, right now, and I should understand." She stayed quiet. I've already heard every version of those lines, and honestly, I'm exhausted. She opened her mouth, then shut it. For the first time all evening, Claire no longer looked like the one in control. I entered the bedroom and closed the door behind me. Not hard, not loud, simply final. And on the other side I heard nothing, no footsteps, no apologies, not even excuses, only silence. By morning the fog outside had cleared, yet inside our apartment it remained. I rose early, didn't wait for Claire to wake. Simply left the bed, showered, and dressed with intention. The navy suit, brown leather watch, subtle cologne, nothing showy, just clean. I hadn't worn it in months. Claire was in the bathroom when I exited the closet, standing barefoot before the mirror, curling iron in hand. She was styling her hair the way she always did before dinners, events, the kinds of nights we once shared without a second thought. She glanced at me in the glass. "You clean up well," she said, playful yet careful. I gave no reply. Her tone stayed light.
"What time are we leaving?"
I adjusted my cuffs, slow and precise. "We're not." She laughed softly, eyes still on her reflection. "Okay, Moody, what time are you leaving then?" I met her gaze in the mirror. "You're not invited." She paused mid-curl. The silence cut sharp between us. Claire turned a little, laughing again, but this time it frayed at the edges.
"Come on, Ryan."
"Don't be absurd." I stayed silent, slipping on my shoes. She set the curling iron on the counter. "Wait, seriously?" "I'm going to Marcus," I said, voice even. "You're not coming." Her brows drew together. "You always asked me to join his things." "Always." "We went last year." "That was last year." "I don't understand what this is," she said, stepping into the hall. "You're punishing me now for one dinner." I took my coat. "I'm not punishing you." "Then, what is this?" Her voice climbed. "You come home, stay silent, turn cold, and suddenly, I'm not welcome at your friend's place." I picked up my phone from the counter and slid it into my pocket. "You made it plain we need space." She blinked. "So that's it. You get to decide when we're together and when I'm sidelined like a stranger." I stopped at the door and finally faced her. "I didn't create this distance," I said. "I simply stopped chasing you through it." She swallowed hard. "I'll be home late." And with that I opened the door. Claire stepped forward. "Ryan, wait." But the door closed behind me, and the sound it made wasn't angry, wasn't hurried. It was quiet, measured, final. Marcus' house in Wellesley always appeared as if it had something to prove. Tall windows, wide marble staircase, the scent of costly cigars drifting from somewhere near the patio. I entered to the familiar murmur of laughter, clinking glasses, and music pulsing softly under the floorboards. He spotted me the instant I walked in. "Ryan." Marcus crossed the room in 3 strides, suit jacket half-buttoned, holding a glass of bourbon as if it belonged to him. "Man, it's about time."
"Thought you were avoiding me."
"Never," I said, forcing a smile. "Just needed tonight to feel different from the rest of my week." He looked me over. "That's either a good sign or a risky one." We tapped glasses, but I didn't drink. "Come upstairs," I told him quietly. "I need a favor." He asked no questions, simply nodded, set his glass aside, and led the way up the winding stairs, past the laughter and music and the carefully arranged crowd who seemed to have everything. Marcus' study was exactly what you'd expect. Dark leather, green glass lamps, shelves filled with books no one opened, and a MacBook glowing softly on the desk. He closed the door behind us. "What's going on?" he asked, voice lower now. I pulled out my phone and showed him the photo I'd taken the night before. Claire at that table, caught mid-laugh with the man who had no right being near her. "You recognize him?" I asked. Marcus squinted.
"No."
"Should I?" "His name's Owen. Supposedly her college ex. She claims he just moved to Boston. Something feels wrong." He nodded, walked to the desk, and powered up his laptop. "All right, let's track him down." We began with Facebook. Nothing under Owen and Claire's last name. Then we checked their college alumni group. Still nothing. Instagram proved worse. Thousands of Owens with similar faces, blurry selfies, travel clips, gym shots. We sat in silence side by side, clicking, scrolling, guessing. Finally Marcus opened Claire's page. "You sure you're okay with this?" he asked, glancing sideways. I didn't blink. She gave up privacy the moment she started labeling this just friendship. We dug further. Her settings were locked, but her best friend Anna was another matter. Marcus clicked a photo from a wedding last spring. Claire in a green dress. Anna beside her. A third person barely in the frame. "Zoom in," I said.
He did.
There he was.
Owen.
Same weak jaw. Same smug tilt of a smile.
Tag it.
Owen 5 mirror. We clicked. Public profile. Albany, New York. Photos of rooftop drinks, a work office, dog walking selfies, and one in particular taken only weeks ago. Owen and Claire. Same corner booth. Good to reconnect. Boston feels like déjà vu. I leaned back in the chair, heart pounding in my ears. Gotcha, I muttered. Marcus sat still. You want to go there, don't you? I don't want to fight, I said. I want the truth on my terms. He didn't pause.
I'll drive.
I looked at him. You don't have to. I know. He cut in. That's why I'm doing it. For a while we simply sat there. The party downstairs a soft echo through the walls. Outside the study window the trees swayed in the winter wind. And for the first time in weeks something inside me felt steady. Not healed, not whole, but focused. It was almost unsettling how ordinary she tried to make everything feel. I came home to the scent of roasted garlic and something creamy on the stove. Soft jazz playing from the speaker by the window, Claire humming in the kitchen, barefoot, apron on, wine already breathing on the counter, as if we were living inside some sponsored domestic dream. I stood at the door, keys still in hand. She turned and smiled as if the past week had never occurred. Oh, good, she said lightly. Can you get the good plates? Hannah and Michael will be here in 15. I blinked. You invited my sister? Yeah, she said, back to stirring the pot as if this were all spontaneous. It's been ages. I thought we could use a night to reset. Reset? That word again. As if we were simply restarting a phone, not living inside a lie. I said nothing and went to the cabinet. If she wanted to play house, I'd let her arrange the stage. She was constructing a performance.
Fine.
Let's see how well she stayed on script. At exactly 7 the doorbell rang. Hannah entered first, scarf looped around her neck, arms full of bakery boxes. Michael followed with a bottle of wine and that easy grin he wore to every gathering. Claire greeted them, as if hosting Thanksgiving. Hugs, compliments, even a high-pitched laugh I hadn't heard in weeks. I made your favorite, Hannah, she gushed. Lemon chicken and that ridiculous mushroom risotto you love. Oh wow, Hannah said carefully. What's the occasion? Just thought it was time for a cozy catch-up, Claire said. I caught the flicker in my sister's eyes the moment she turned toward me. Her smile dropped by a fraction. Just enough. She knew me too well. I gave her a slight nod. That was all she required. Dinner began light. Michael talked about his latest client mess. Claire played along with her usual practice charm, and Hannah picked at her food as if chewing through fog. Her eyes flicked to me a few times, waiting for the signal. Claire kept reaching for my hand under the table. I left it beside my glass, unmoved. So, Claire said sweetly, swirling her wine. Ryan's been keeping to himself lately. He's entered his deep introvert phase again. Hannah raised an eyebrow. Is that what we're calling it? Claire chuckled. You know how he gets when he's inside his head. I looked at Hannah. Funny. I've been pretty clear-headed lately. Claire's laugh cut short. She glanced at me as if I'd skipped a line. She tried again. You've just seemed a little distant. Michael jumped in to fill the awkward pause. Hey, we all go through those seasons. Claire, this chicken is seriously perfect. But Hannah was still watching me. I finally met her gaze. And in a single look I handed her the entire story. Not in words, just in silence.
And wait.
Her smile faded. She turned to Claire. Still polite but cooler now. You've been busy, huh? Claire blinked. I'm sorry. Hannah said casually, sipping her wine. You seem like someone juggling more than what's on this table. Claire shifted in her seat. Well, work's been nonstop lately, and brunches apparently, I added. Claire's face tightened. Hannah set her glass down gently. We're not here to pretend, Claire. Claire stared at her, then at me. I didn't bring you both here for judgment.
No, I said.
You brought them here for cover. That landed. Claire stood, smoothing her apron. I made this dinner for all of us. No, I said again. You made this dinner to make things look fine, but nothing is. Michael cleared his throat. Maybe we should. I'm not hiding anything, Claire snapped, voice sharp now. I've been honest with everyone but your husband, Hannah said. Claire's eyes flashed, but she said nothing. The silence around the table grew thick, almost solid. The hum of the fridge filled the space where her defense should have been. Eventually, Hannah rose from her chair. Thank you for dinner. Michael followed, quiet now. They took their coats. At the door, Hannah paused beside me and leaned in just enough to whisper, You don't need to explain. I see it. I nodded once. Claire didn't walk them out. She simply stood in the kitchen, arms crossed, face unreadable. When the door clicked shut, she finally turned toward me. Was that necessary? I didn't answer. Just picked up a plate, rinsed it, and set it in the sink.
You could have defended me, she said.
I dried my hands slow and deliberate. I used to, I said quietly. Then I walked down the hall, leaving her in the glow of her perfect dinner party, one no one believed in but her. Before we continue, tap like if this is landing for you. The door had barely closed behind Hannah and Michael when the quiet settled in deep and uneasy, as if the air had dropped 10 degrees. Claire remained in the kitchen, arms folded tight, mouth set in that sharp line she wore when she didn't get her way. I leaned against the hallway wall, watching her through the reflection on the oven door. Neither of us moved. I finally spoke. This performance is finished. She turned toward me slow and stiff.
Excuse me.
You heard me, I said, calm as ever. I'm done with the charades, the dinner, the smiles, the fake small talk. I'm not playing house with someone who spends her weekends wrapped in someone else's attention. Her eyes narrowed. You are unbelievable. No, I replied. I'm clear. She walked around the kitchen island, pointing a finger as if it were a weapon. Owen is my friend. I have told you that a dozen times. And I'm not asking again, I said. It's me or him. Claire's face twisted. You can't say that to me like I'm some child who needs permission. It's not a request, I said. It's a line. Her voice cracked with sudden heat. You don't get to control me, Ryan. I'm not some possession you can draw boundaries around whenever you feel insecure. I didn't flinch, and I'm not your doormat. I won't sit in the shadows while you rewrite what loyalty means. She laughed bitterly, stepping closer. So this is who you are now? Drawing ultimatums like some emotionally wounded teenager. No, I said. This is who I've always been. You just stop listening. Claire's hands hit the counter. You never try to understand me. I did. I snapped. For months I listened when you said you needed space. I stayed quiet when your attention vanished. I believed you when you said nothing was wrong. Because nothing was, she yelled.
Then, why did you lie about him?
I asked. I didn't lie. You omitted. That's the same thing when you're married. She paused, biting her lip, jaw clenched. I didn't think I needed your permission to have a friend.
You don't, I said.
But if it's all so innocent, why didn't you tell me about him from the start? Her voice dropped. Because I knew you'd react like this. I tilted my head. You mean honestly? She exhaled sharply.
This isn't about cheating, Ryan.
You're inventing a crisis where there isn't one. No, I said. I'm drawing a line, because there is one. She went quiet then, as if she were suddenly unsure which version of me she faced. I stepped forward. You've spent weeks calling this a friendship, laughing with him in public, hiding texts, avoiding eye contact at dinner. That's not a friendship, Claire. That's a boundary you crossed and simply hoped I'd be too blind to notice. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I won't share a marriage with a ghost, I said. Claire stared at me, stunned into silence. Either he's part of your past, I added, or I am. She blinked, stunned. You're really saying that? I already said it, I replied. You just weren't listening. I didn't shout. I didn't plead. I simply stood there, arms at my sides, voice steady. No more emotion left to pour out. That shook her more than anything else. You're not fighting, she whispered.
No, I said.
I'm finished fighting for someone who's halfway out the door. We stared at each other across the room, me with stillness, her with the sudden storm behind her eyes. The argument had been loud, but the silence that followed was louder. Claire sank into a chair, hands shaking. I left the kitchen.
She didn't follow.
The next morning the city was quiet, not peaceful, just muted, as if it preferred not to get involved. I sat in a beige waiting room under fluorescent lights that hummed low and steady. The wall clock clicked softly with every second. Across from me a woman dabbed her eyes with a tissue. Her husband sat 3 seats away, as if they weren't even sharing the same air. Then a receptionist looked up and called Mr. Royce. I stood and followed her down a narrow hallway into a glass office overlooking a street that cared nothing about anyone's heartbreak. The attorney, Melinda Holt, was mid-40s, sharp eyes, no small talk. She gestured to the seat across from her desk. I sat down and exhaled slowly.
Tell me everything, she said. So I did.
No drama, no raised voice, just the facts. I told her about Claire, the man she reintroduced into her life without warning. The emotional affair she insisted wasn't real, the lies packaged as friendship. I told her how things had shifted so far I could barely recognize the version of her I married anymore. Melinda listened, taking notes quietly. When I finished, she leaned forward. Emotional betrayal carries weight in court, especially when there's a pattern. You've documented everything. I nodded. I have photos, messages, timeline. I can get more if needed. She nodded back. Then we're not walking into this blind. We're building a case. I shook her hand and left the office with a stack of paperwork under my arm. The city looked different on the way out. Not better, just sharper. As if I were seeing it without a filter for the first time in weeks. An hour later, I slid into a booth at one of those old diners on the South End, the kind with cracking red leather seats, and a waitress who calls everyone Honorable Marcus was already there, stirring coffee. He looked up as I sat down. Well, he asked. I did it, I said. No turning back now, he said. There hasn't been for a while. He slid his phone across the table. I found something. It was a photo. Owen standing on a porch beside a petite brunette. Her hand rested on his chest. Wedding bands on both of them. Meet Monica, Marcus said. Wife. Albany address. Facebook says they've been married 3 years. I stared at the screen. No emotion crossed my face. Just quiet calculation. He's not only sneaking around with Claire, Marcus continued. He's two-timing or trying to. I took a sip of black coffee. It tasted burnt, but my mind was clear now. This wasn't only about survival anymore. This was about truth, about setting the record straight, and maybe if the timing was right, letting someone else watch their illusion collapse. Saturday morning arrived quiet and gray. The kind of day that asks nothing and expects even less. Claire was in the bedroom zipping up boots and fixing her makeup as if it were any other weekend. Brunch with Anna, she said casually, grabbing her purse. She's had a rough week. I'll be back around 2. I didn't look up from my coffee. Tell her I said hi. She hesitated half a second, just long enough to know I knew, but she smiled anyway. Will do. The door shut behind her with a light click. I waited a beat, then stood, crossed the room, and opened the door again. Monica stood there, petite, calm, holding a manila folder and a quiet fury behind her eyes. Hi, I said simply. Hi, she replied. Her voice was soft, but you could feel the current underneath. I stepped aside. Come in. She walked slowly into our home. The home where her husband had planted his betrayal and mine had watered it. The living room was still neat. She looked around briefly, then sat on the edge of the couch as if she didn't want to sink too far into something that belonged to Claire. I poured her some coffee, set it on the table between us. Thanks for coming. She nodded, eyes locked on the front door. She's meeting him now? She asked. Brunch, I said. Same table, same lie. Monica gave a faint, humorless laugh. He told me he had a client call this morning, left with cologne and confidence. We sat in silence for a minute, the clock ticking loud in the background. Did she know? Monica asked finally. I shook my head. If she did, she's been pretending hard. But today we stopped pretending. We didn't say much after that. We just waited. It wasn't dramatic, the way Claire came in. The door unlocked, the hinges creaked, and she stepped inside like she always did. Shopping bag in hand, sunglasses still on. Then she froze. There we were, me on the armchair, Monica on the couch. Claire blinked. Ryan. Monica stood slowly. Claire's eyes flicked to her, confused. Claire, I said, voice flat. Did your ex tell you he has a wife? Claire's mouth opened, but no sound came out. I gestured toward Monica. Meet her. There was a beat of stunned silence. Then, what is this? Claire asked, voice shaking. Why is she? You didn't know? Monica said, arms crossed. Or was this just a fun little secret you both kept? Claire stammered. I thought he was single. He didn't say. But you never asked either, did you? Monica snapped. You were too busy being old friends to ask basic questions. Claire's face flushed.
I didn't know. I swear I didn't, Ryan.
I raised a hand.
Don't explain.
It doesn't matter anymore. Claire turned to me, desperate now. You really think I would have done this if I knew he was married? Monica cut in. You did do this. Married or not. You were sneaking around with my husband, so don't shift it now. Play around on her. I'm not the one who married a liar. And I'm not the one who dressed it up as brunch, Monica shot back. Their voices rose overlapping now. Accusations, denials, bitterness spilling out in waves. I stayed silent. Eventually Claire turned to me, eyes wide, voice trembling. You planned this? I did, I said. You wanted to humiliate me. No, I replied. I wanted you to see the wreckage. Claire shook her head. This was cruel.
No, Monica said.
It was honest. The first honest moment in this entire mess. Claire backed up, blinking fast. You have no idea what our marriage was like, what I felt, what I needed. And instead of talking to me, I said, you reached out to someone who never stopped being a threat. She covered her mouth, eyes glassy. I didn't cheat, she whispered. You betrayed, I said. There's a difference, but not a meaningful one. Silence again. Monica picked up her folder and her purse. Calm as ever. I should go. Claire stepped aside. Not a word left. At the door, Monica looked back at me. Thanks for letting me see it for myself. I nodded. Thank you for coming. And then she was gone. I closed the door and turned back to Claire, who hadn't moved. She looked at me like she barely recognized who I was. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. The damage wasn't theoretical anymore. It had a face. 3 weeks passed. The papers arrived in a plain envelope. No drama. Just a signature on the last page. Final.
Filed.
Stamped by the court. The judge called it a case of sustained emotional neglect and deteriorated trust. Claire didn't contest the decision in the end. Her voice barely rose above a whisper during the final hearing. She never looked at me. It ended the way so many things do, not with shouting or slammed doors, but silence and paperwork. The apartment felt larger after she left. Her perfume had faded from the pillows. The toothbrush was gone from the holder, and the closet that once held our life now carried only mine. Claire's ex, Owen. He vanished almost instantly. Monica filed for divorce within the week. Her attorney was faster than mine. Word was Owen had been lying to both of them. Claire wasn't the only one. There were other women, other weekends, other secrets. His phone went dark. His company listed him as no longer with the organization. Some kind of internal issue. No details, just fallout. He was gone. Claire, though, she didn't disappear. It started with a text the day after she moved out. I couldn't sleep. I miss your voice in the morning. Then came the longer ones. I know I broke us. I wish I could rewind time. Just once, just to sit with you on the couch again, and not be so stupid. Some came at 2 a.m., scattered with typos. Some were clearly written and polished, like she'd read them 3 times before hitting send. I never replied, not because I hated her. I didn't, but because there was nothing left to say. Regret only holds weight when it arrives before the damage, not after the house is burned down. She made her choices with open eyes. Now she had to live with the echo of them. It was early evening when I saw her again. The cafe sat right on the edge of the harbor, string lights overhead, the water catching the last blush of the sunset. I got there first, ordered black coffee, took the seat by the window. No rush, no nerves, just stillness. Monica arrived a few minutes later, scarf tucked neatly into her coat, a calm in her step I hadn't seen the first time we met. She smiled.
Hey.
Hey, I said back, standing to greet her. No awkwardness, just a quiet kind of familiarity now. She sat across from me and ordered tea.
Chamomile.
We didn't dive into the past. Not right away. We talked about the view, the cold, the ridiculous price of parking in Boston. Nothing heavy, nothing sharp. Eventually the pause came.
You look lighter, she said.
I feel it, I admit it.
And you?
She nodded. Yeah, still picking up pieces, but at least I know what they are now. We both laughed quietly. It wasn't the laughter of joy. It was the kind that comes after the fire when all that's left is truth and breath. She pulled out her phone and showed me a photo of her dog. Got him back from Owen's place. He tried to say I didn't have time for him, as if that man ever filled a food bowl. I smirked. Claire tried to water her guilt with late-night texts. Monica rolled her eyes. They always reach out once silence answers louder than anger. We clinked mugs.
Not to revenge, she said.
No, I agreed.
To release.
A moment passed. She looked out at the water. You think you'll date again eventually? I said, but right now I'm just learning to enjoy my own company again. She smiled.
Same.
It wasn't romantic, what we had. It was real. Two people who survived the same kind of storm, sitting across from each other, not to mourn what was lost, but to recognize what was found. Self-respect, clarity, dignity, and above all, the kind of peace that comes when you stop carrying someone else's chaos. As the sky darkened and the cafe lights flickered warm, Monica looked over at me.
We should do this again sometime, she said.
I nodded. Yeah, we should. Not for love, but for the quiet truth that sometimes healing comes when you stop chasing closure and just let the truth speak for itself. And that was the end of the story. You know, I still wonder. Monica could have just walked away and never responded to my message, but instead she showed up, looked Claire in the eye, and faced the truth head-on. Would you have done the same in her shoes? Let me know in the comments. And if this story made you feel something, hit like, and don't forget to subscribe for more.